GT4 series here at Imola. I am Cypher Knight 77, and unfortunately Kirino is not here with me today, so it will be a solo broadcast from here. So, Imola, what's there to say about such a historic track that's hosted F1 races in its day, but today it'll only be GT4s who take to the track, and we'll hopefully see the best and the brightest put their stuff to the test, and we'll see exactly what they've got here today. So, as it stands, the drivers will be getting on track to set their practice laps times. Javier still remains your points leader in the Aston Martin, and right now really his only competition would be Red, who is trying to rebound from a few not so good races in the past 2 weeks, I'd say. So we'll be looking to see exactly how he can maybe get back to his early season form. As he takes a small spin there. Really just cold tires there right off the bat, actually. But yes, we'll go to the grid, see who's here, who's not here. It's clear skies for practice, however, qualifying and the race look a little uncertain at this point, so it'll be interesting to see what happens during those sessions. As we head through the field here, you can just see all the drivers starting to make their laps here today. You see Imola has some very interesting turns here, especially the turn that Max Blee just went through. It has some very high curves. It can really upset the car, especially considering it's also very high braking and low speed. And then you come to this sort of last double left-handed section. There's pretty much all gravel around here, so we might see some drivers run wide here, and that might also cause a few incidents at that. But we'll stick on board Ryan here and maybe take you on for a little bit of a lap, but here at Imola. Here's kind of a mixed track for all these drivers, so it'll be interesting to watch. But see, heavy braking zone into turn 1, quickly have to shift all the weight back to the right. It's a very quick left-right section, and then another left here after turn 3. Even though it's kind of a technical track, this does have a lot of high-speed turns, or high-speed sections actually, as go to the right then left of 4 and 5, and then come to the sort of U-turn like corner here at 6. But it'll be a very interesting race to watch. It obviously a lot of drivers trying to get back into form after some not so good races under their belt, but honestly I'm looking forward to this race as much as everyone else here is. In terms of track limits and stuff like that, I believe we'll be kind of lenient here today, but that remains to be seen actually. Javier, your GT4 series points leader, he's won all except one race at Daytona, and even that race he managed to stick on the podium. But will he manage to keep up his success at Imola? I mean, if you're playing the lottery, your odds are probably still on him, so anything's possible. Right now, Slim Sign first across the line to set any sort of representative time. It is a 150. Oh no, well, it was a 155.3, but Bauer goes and sets a 154. It's not too many laps here, roughly under 30 laps. We kind of expect times usually in the 154 region around here with these GT4 cars, and since they are such long lap times, it'll only be enhanced during the race, considering that these guys will be on high fuel loads throughout most of the race as well. As we take a look down throughout some more drivers as they start to set some more of their lap times. Right, who's already had damage before he even came out the pits, so probably just tinkering on some stuff back in the garage if anything. who's already looking to set in some mock qualifying runs, considering he's on low fuel. But here at a track like this, you obviously want to kind of prioritize downforce, considering there's a deceptively high number of high-speed corners here, but you also do need a lot of speed for these straights. It's a weird balance Imola requires, so it'll be interesting to see who's got the speed here down the straights and who's maybe got the downforce here to back. If I had to put my money, I don't know, it's difficult. We saw the KTMs pull off a surprising upset back in Austria before they had their calamities, so it would be a decent guess to put your money on them. However, sources probably indicate that the Porsches might be looking for a rebound here. Here we go, Alex, who is also another one of those drivers who's trying to make up for lost points and lost time, actually. Didn't have a great run at Austria, looking to kind of just put in some more regular performances, actually. Yes, you see how high the car gets off of those curbs, and then it just shoots you out into the outside. Luckily, over there's no sort of grass or gravel or anything. It's all paved, but it's still just quite a tough track overall, I'd say. It's definitely high up there in difficulty. But I think he'll come across this time to set a representative time, assuming he hasn't been invalidated. GTS comes across the line right about now. It's actually, the line's right there. It's really far down the straight to go 8th with a 159.5. Bowie, for now, sets to provisional pace in his KTM with the 154.4. Ooh, that's Alex there, kind of stuck there on the outside there. But I was going to say, Javier, not surprisingly, the pole. Well, not really the pole, man, considering this is still practice, but he's not where we expect him to be. But then again, I guess it's not really saying much if we always expect him to be up there every week now, is it? The point is, what I'm trying to say is that Bowie and Slimsign have somehow managed to thrust their way up into the top 2 here at the practice timesheets. Pretty much all KTMs, actually, besides Javier and Crazy, who's sitting 5th at the moment with a little bit of rear damage, actually. I wonder if he's been hit in the back from somewhere or looped it around. Garatis, another driver who's just been on a consistent streak as of late. It'll be interesting to see what he can do today. His practice winds to a close here. It'll be a little bit more interesting when we get to qualifying, considering that there is a little bit of a hint of weather there. But for now, it's just business as usual for these guys here in GT4. Just get as much data as you can, see where the car sits relative to the others, and there it is, as Ryan has now placed himself in 2nd with the 154.6. So Javier not even in the top 3 of practice times. However, like I said, probably not his most representative time set anyways. That's left for qualifying pace. This practice comes to a close right now. Beccaratis' lap time invalidated, so this probably won't count. Yeah, it won't count. Red only having a lap time of 11th fastest, probably didn't get a chance to set a representative lap time, but he really does need to start picking things back together, actually. But Ryan and Bowie, considerably the two upsets, or were to be upsets, of Austria, found themselves at the top of the timesheets here today. So maybe the KTMs have some secret speed here that I didn't expect, which will be a little bit surprising to see, actually. Everyone's just coming around now to probably just run down the timer as it is. As you can see, it is Bowie, Ryan, and Slimstein here at the top three, actually only separated by 3/10, and then Javier separated by about 4/10, and then you have a gap from around 5th to 7th separated by a second each other. But as practice rounds down here, you can see the times here. It is all KTM top 3, actually, for the first time this season, I believe, and Aston Martin has not been at the top of the practice sheets. As you can see, the Porsches and Aston Martins kind of sit middle of the road, as well as the Mustangs sit near the bottom. But it's qualifying, and this is where it all matters. Crazy looks to be the first out on the track to try and set a representative time. And I'm just as interested to see what kind of laps these guys can pull out. Oh no, it's not. It's actually Adam who's the first one out, my bad. So yes, Adam, then I believe Joe is out next, followed by Crazy, and I think that's Ryan in the background. So everyone going to set their first representative times here in qualifying at Imola. As Adam looks, he will be the first. We'll take a little bit to the grass there, but looks like he will be the first to try and set a good time here. As the only four who decide to kind of stay inside for now seem to be, well, Schwami, Maxpley, and Bowie. Javier looking to get, I believe he's pretty much scored pole at every track besides Austria as well. But I believe he has always pretty much started near the front, or at least on the front row. So we'll see what he's got here today. Red, like I said before, just needs to start picking back up the consistent finishes, and they'll start showing up. Huso with an unexpected well, not unexpected, but we expect him to do a lot better at Austria, but just didn't happen for him. But who knows, anything can happen here. The KTM seem to all be at the front, so we should expect nonetheless, actually. Alright, and Adam will in fact be the first to the line to set a qualifying lap, assuming it doesn't get invalidated. So we're right on board here as he takes the lap. You're down into turn 1, heavy braking all the way. Well, the Astons can hit 5th there, but down into 2nd through 1 and 2 to shift the weights there, then go to turn 3 at around 90 to 100 miles per hour there. Then has to go to the quick left right of 4 and 5. Have to shift down quickly in between them, as I believe that's Julian off there. Luckily won't intervene here. Then quickly shift down to 2nd as they go through 6. A little bit of tire spin there. Difficult rear wheel grip there. Let's go to the kink of 7, then to the fast left-hander of 8. Have to kind of trust the car won't kind of slide out there. It's very easy to run wide and go through 9 and 10. Also really fast corners. You can take 9 flat out, but you probably can't take 10, and that's kind of what happened. But although he managed to keep it together, so he may have lost some time, but he kept it on the track. And go to the chicane of 11 and 12. Watch the bumps there. They'll throw the car for a loop. Ooh, very, very wide there. Then you got the long downhill going into 13, and then 14 will be the run to the start finish line. Have to brake all the way from 4th down to around 2nd gear. Fairly difficult braking zone considering you're braking downhill. Also tends to kind of throw the car wide. And then you have as he goes really wide there, and Adam has spun it there. I wonder everyone get through quickly. Adam does in fact get off the track decently well. So it looks like Joe will lead them to the line with, I believe that's Ryan, no, that's Bowie behind him. So Joe will in fact be the first to set a time here. It's a 1:59.3, Bowie only a 2:01. Becker is across the line next. He also goes 2-on-1. There's everyone. There's GTS, Julian, Husa, Adam. Although a bunch of them with lap times invalidated, and excuse me, not Husa, Slim Sign, I apologize for that, but Slim Sign has actually gotten the fastest time out of all that, so he probably got the draft off of those other cars. He's the fastest right now with a 1:54.5. I was wondering, oh, Javier, oops, as Husa actually just beats Javier as he's stuck in the grass actually, so I wonder if he's put it off the grass somewhere. But this is surprising. This is the first time that Javier has not seemingly had the top running pace compared to these other guys. It's actually Slim Sign and Husa who's had essentially one of his best qualifying performances so far. But as everyone starts to kind of find their groove here, you know that these guys can run in the 1:54, so there's plenty of time still up for offer for everyone actually. Well, Joe's 2 seconds up, so it'll catch up near the top 4 positions actually, as it's Bowie just in front of him. So Bowie will once again cross the finish line to try to get out of 8th place at the moment. He's had the pace this weekend. He wants to try to be up there with the other KTMs as he comes across the line right now. Bowie does indeed go to the top with a 1:54.1. Joe does improve with a 1:57.3. So here comes everyone else across the finish line. Max Blaze, Slim Sign, will he be able to beat Bowie? No, he won't. 6/10 down. Adam across the line. He still cannot set in the representative lap time actually. Red also not being able to set in a good lap time as well. Alex, Red, and Adam are yet to set in representative times. I believe Schwami has a sort of penalty considering he's sitting out most of qualifying. Ryan also yet to set in a lap time. We believe he's on his lap now, so we're right on board to see what he can pull out of this. As it goes. Ooh, very, very high on the curves. Actually, upset the car a little bit actually, as it's, I believe, Bowie right behind him. Yes, it is. But Ryan looking to maybe get up there with his teammate. Bowie's got the pace, so Ryan needs to hope that he has the pace as well. Across the last turn now. It's a long run to the start-finish line. Bowie right behind them, so they'll both set in times as they come across the line right about now. Alex not really setting a representative time in the 2 minutes, so he needs to go around one more time. But Ryan across the line for the first time. It's only 9th with a 1:59.8, and Bowie goes faster with a 1:54 flat. So Bowie has the pace. Beckeratis across the line now. Where will he slide in? He goes 4/10 faster. He will displace Javier into 5th place now. Javier smoothly through the chicane. Adam also comes across the line for 156, but then runs wide there. Xavier comes to the last complex now. Will he set up? Will he be able to break into the top 5? That's kind of surprising for me to say, considering Javier has always been in the top 5, but can he break even higher into the top 5? You will come across the line right now. And it's indeed, Javier goes a 1:53.5, the fastest time of the weekend. So clearly he was hiding this from everyone. Bowie's 5/10 down now. Ryan sliding through the last chicane. He needs to get up there. Red only going 12. He needs to find a way to go even faster than that. Slimsign also not being able to improve. Ryan coming across the last complex now. He also needs to find a way to rebound. Bowie's right behind him, so probably he's got some slipstream right there to help his teammate. However, Ryan's the one who really needs to get out of the bottom group right now. His ride comes across the line right now. He goes 4 seconds faster. It's a 1:55.3. Ryan slots himself into 4th place, displaces Husa to 5th. Beckeratis coming back down across the line. Will he be able to break into the top 5? No, 2/10 down. Crazy coming across the last complex now. I believe that's Javier right in front of Crazy. Yes, it is. So Javier looking to go even further on his lap. It's Crazy now comes across the line. That's Adam right behind him. So Crazy, will he be able to get out of the bottom group? Javier does not improve on his time. Crazy, no, 3/10 down. GTS coming to the last sector now. Ooh, he slides it, and that's probably a dead lap right there. Looks like he'll probably be starting near the back in 8th. Although GTS with a surprise podium last week, so he can definitely be a decent upset here. As Joe comes across the line, can he get himself out of 10th? Comes across the line now. It's no change, so probably an invalidated lap there. But as it stands, Red, I didn't even notice that. Red has set a 1:53.4. So I said he needs to pick up the pace. He probably heard me, because now he's standing at the top. Javier 1/10 down. So really close between the top two. But it is exactly what Red needs to do to get his championship game back in full motion. Javier a 10th up though, so he could actually displace Red with this time. Red is right there behind him as, ooh, very high on the curb, and that might be all she wrote as Javier comes across into the last complex now with Adam behind him. Javier is looking to displace Red with this time, looking to be in the low 153s actually. Indeed he does. He displaced it with the 1:53.1. Javier goes to the fastest, and Crazy out of nowhere sets a 1:53.14. So somehow Crazy has been the spoiler out of these guys, as he is now set a fast lap, and Red goes down to 3rd place, although Red he's got one more chance to do something about this. Bowie and Ryan, you see these two a lot together, although I don't think this is exactly what Bowie wants, considering, well, I believe Ryan might just be in the way from Bowie right now. However, I think they're both on their laps. Either that or Ryan's providing just the right amount of slipstream for Bowie to make something happen here. We'll see them both come across the line right about now. But no improvement from either of them, as Red has decided to call it quits here. So he will stick in third, and there's a little bit of no love lost between teammates there. Slimsign coming to the final complex now. Does he have an answer for the top flight? As I believe that's Gavra just also coming it in to call it quits for the day. Slimsign will come across the line now. No improvement there, so he does have one last chance to get it right. Javier coming across the line now. This is probably be his last chance to displace Crazy, although there's Crazy right there, so looking at the top times here, as time will run out, so they will not get another lap. This will be the one that counts. Javier goes across the line, and he does. He goes 152.5. And Crazy cannot answer that, so Javier showing everyone up by going 5/10 faster than Crazy. GTS 8/10 up, so he could displace Beccaratis here. Well, actually needs about a second or two, but he might be able to at least cement his top 10, as everyone else has kind of called it quits. But GTS coming across the line now. It'll be an improvement, but I don't think it's enough of an improvement, and indeed it will not be. GTS stays 10th. Ryan and Bowie, well, this time it's Bowie and Red. So Bowie will come across the line now. Will he improve, and will he help Ryan get across the line? Bowie does not improve, neither does Ryan. Crazy, I believe, has abandoned his lap. And so the last one out there to try to make any sort of thing happen is Slimsign. He goes very deep into 13 and 14, and he gets it all wrong onto the gravel. And he has called it quits as well. A surprising qualifying session, actually. Javier manages to go 152, which is the fastest time of the day. Crazy surprising everyone by going second fastest, and Red will have to settle for third. Meanwhile, it is a KTM sandwich of Bowie, Slimsign, and Ryan, who sit down in 8th. Adam will be in 7th, Beccaratis 9th, and GTS 10th. No sign of any Mustangs in the top 10, but it's all still to play for come race time. Sweet. There we go. And I also forgot to mention Alad's very far down the field in 12th place. Schwami will indeed start from the back of the grid after probably the incident at Austria. But here we are at the grid. Javier will start on first. Just trying to... There you go. Crazy will be second, like I said. As you can very much see, the grid slots are actually very close to each other, so Javier is extremely susceptible. Red will start in 3rd, Bowie 4th, Slimsign 5th, Ryan 6th, Adam 7th, Husa 8th, Beccaratis 9th, GTS 10th, Joe Black 11th, Alex 12th, Max Plea 13th, Julian 14th, and Schwami will start at the back of the grid. As you can see, very overcast skies here, so we'll have to keep a watch out on that, but I'm incredibly intrigued as to what might happen here. Crazy is in the best position he's been all season to try and steal one away from Javier right at the start. Javier hasn't had the greatest starts, although he has managed to kind of get away from those at the start, actually, when he can. Red looking right at the back of his championship rival, the two orange KTMs. How will they be able to rebound? Slim Sign just looking to score some points. Will Husa get up into third place by the end of lap 1? And where will everyone else slot out? These answers are about to be answered right now, actually. And here we go. 4 red lights to GT4 at Imola. And lights out. So far, a decent start from Javier. Crazy looking to kind of just slot in. Red and Becaratis there is in the background. That's Husa, actually. Husa spun around before they even got to turn 1. Alex and Adam 3 wide there for a second momentarily. Crazy does indeed slot Red, Bowie, and Ryan. They have overtaken Slim Sign off the bat. That's Adam very hard into the wall off of turn 3. Mustangs. Yeah, I was thinking that was Max, but it's actually Joe Black fighting there with, oh, he's contact with Julian there. Joe got a little bit tagged there. But back up front, it is Javier, Crazy, Red, Ryan, and Bowie, your top 5. Slim Sign kind of leading the second group of Alex, Becaratis, GTS, and Swami's managed to get himself from 15th on the grid. But yeah, there was, I think Julian made contact with the Mustang of Joe Black. And now it's his teammate Max Plee going around the outside of Julian. He gets it all wrong there. Max Plee, a little bit of contact there. And that's Alex there around. I said he needed to start making some consistent races, but it looks like he will not do that. It's back up front. Red and Crazy going at it. Ryan very wide off the last corner. The 2 orange KTMs seem to follow each other once again. But Crazy looking to form a little bit of a defense here on Red. Meanwhile, in the back, got GTS up to 8, Swami up to 9. Adam, I believe, has a lot of damage. Not sure if he has to pit right now, but right now Crazy on the back of, Red on the back of Crazy. Does the Porsche have the straight line speed to make a move down here? Upwards of 150 miles per hour as they head down into turn 1. It's side by side for Red and Crazy, and looks like Crazy will let him have it as he's just on the grass a little bit, and they're both wide. Red and Crazy both went wide, and that's a spin for Red as, Bowie to take a little bit of evasive actions. Words are getting scrambled, but Red has managed to mess it up as Slim Sign and Adam are both in the pits. I wonder what that is for. You know, Adam has damage, but I didn't think Slim Sign had damage as well. But that's Julian also off. Husa trying to get back his spots, but that has promoted Ryan and Bowie up to 4th, as well as Becaratis into 5th. Red trying to rebound from his incident there. And GTS feeling the pressure from Swami now behind him. So all in all, very, very strange scenes here. A Swami and a double spin actually from GTS and Swami. They're in very dangerous spots. That has opened the door for Max Plee, Alex, and Joe to take in 7th, 8th, and 9th. But yeah, that was more like synchronized spinning there from as he goes around again. He managed to keep off the wall this time, but yeah, just a strange synchronized spinning as Swami has to take evasive actions there. But back up front, it's still all Javier so far with Crazy behind him. Then we got the KTM duo, and then we got the Porsche duo of Becaratis and Red. But then we kind of have the secondary group led by Max Blue, who's doing really good. And then the Mustang sandwiching the Porsche of Alex there. Slim Sign, I wonder why he pitted. Unless he had a drive-through penalty, because I don't see any damage. It's Adam who took all the damage from that very difficult shunt. But meanwhile, back up front, Crazy is actually putting some pressure on Javier, actually. So maybe it wasn't just conveniently straight line pace, as that's Joe well off into the gravel. Managed to catch that at the very last moment. And so Alex has found himself into 7th. But I was just about to say, doesn't look like fluke qualifying pace from Crazy. He is actually trying to mount a challenge on Javier. I'll admit I didn't expect that. You know, Red trying to recover from his early incidents. So we got now we got the official Mustang roadblock here. Joe and Maxley. I believe Maxley just letting Joe go there, but he's left himself susceptible to Husa there as Husa tries to look left, look right. Well, it's a little bit difficult to see, but Husa trying to battle the Mustang of Maxley there to try to rebound from his early spin. Still not really sure what caused him to spin around. There might have been slight contact, but it must have been incredibly minor. So there's now Joe and Alex going at it. Joe trying to rebound from his early race troubles as well. Meanwhile, Bowie losing a little bit of touch with the leaders. Ryan as well. And Red and Beckerat just also kind of just staying in, as that's Alex who's hit the grass again. And that's left Joe in to take 7th place. A huge battle here between some of the midfield guys, actually, as Husa looks to get out of the slipstream, although I don't think he'll have the speed here. In fact, he's more susceptible to Max Bleep behind him. So barreling into turn 1 very quick. Seeing a lot of brake issues into turn 1, people just not being able to brake in time. But luckily these guys have managed to find a way, as now it's Bowie and Crazy looking to duel together. This isn't what Crazy needs if he wants to mount a challenge on Javier. Bowie mounting incredible pressure. I thought he was losing time, actually, as Uzi goes around the outside. Crazy, I don't think he was expecting to make such a bold move there, but he's made it stick. As you see a couple raindrops on the camera lens, actually. But indeed, Bowie has managed to get around Crazy. Red has managed to break away from Beckeratis, actually, and Alex has found himself even farther down away from this trio of Joe, Husa, and Max Bleep. Husa just always seems to find himself in the middle of a Mustang fest, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's just what he likes. But either way, Javier now looking kind of weak to Bowie. This isn't what we usually see. He's usually able to pull away from everyone, but seemingly today he can't quite do that. As Bowie now tries to reel the gap in about a second. Bowie very late on the brakes. You see he gains about 2/10 there in that turn alone. Crazy looking to kind of rebound there. But yeah, as we see on the camera lens, the raindrops seem to just keep increasing now. Schwami, who now has quite a lot of damage, actually. So, a day gone from bad to worse. He had to start in the back, and looks like he will not pull off the swan song and get himself into probably a top 10, actually. But GTS also has damage, so maybe a collision between Schwami and GTS to set them back very far, as that's Bowie who managed to get around the outside of Javier. I apologize that we missed that. But it is now Bowie, your new race leader, who has managed to pass Javier. It's suspected that he looked a little bit weak here, but it seems like that's actually the case here, because Bowie and quite a few other KTMs do in fact have the pace here. But as the rain begins to descend here on Imola, it'll be more or less who actually has the right strategy in mind. Actually, while things are kind of spreading out, we'll just take a look at the timings. So Bowie does indeed have a 6-second penalty. That's incredibly harsh. So if he wants to win this thing over Javier, he's got to pull out a 6-second gap. However, still very early in the race. Crazy and Ryan have, well, actually that penalty just went up. Crazy had a 1-second penalty, Ryan had a 1-second penalty, but then went to 3 seconds. And Slim Sign a 10-second penalty, as well as Adam, who also has a 10-second penalty. So that's what that's looking like so far after 6 laps. But as the rain begins to descend here on Imola, only one can question how this is going to affect the drivers. You saw last time when it rained at Catalunya, it kind of showcased some of the veterans of the rain in terms of strategy and overall planning. But Javier's never exactly been in a position like this where he has to come from behind whilst in changing conditions. So it'll be interesting to watch. Meanwhile, Red catching up to Ryan as it stands now. Red having the very early instance, trying to just regain everything he's got so far and try to make a mounting charge on him. See, very, very heavy braking zone. So he actually gained a little bit, but Ryan manages to pull out some extra time with his acceleration there. And you can kind of see from this perspective, the rain isn't too bad. I don't suspect it'll be any worse until about 5 or so more laps. But Red all over the back of Ryan now. That's the lap car of Adam right in front of them, so he'll get out of the way there. But Ryan very susceptible, as that's Bowie deciding to make an early pit. So Bowie has decided he doesn't want to take a chance. This is Red on the inside of Ryan. He will take that position very swiftly. Porsche v KTM in a speed battle, and that is Red, who has made himself back into the podium. However, Bowie has decided to take the early initiative and pit. So this promotes Beccaratis into 5th right now. Bowie's out and about. I wonder if that was a normal pit stop. It seemed relatively quick. So maybe he had some sort of drive-through penalty, actually. He might not have actually changed tires, but instead had a drive-through penalty. We'll have to check up on that later. Just meanwhile, Husa still mounts the charge on Joe Black. Husa trying to get back into his rhythm here after starting so low down that I'm sure he would like. But he's doing pretty decently for himself. He's able to keep there, but he just needs to try to find a little more speed where the Mustang can't, and that's most likely through the turns. Let's see, the raindrops get ever bigger. Very fast into this complex here, the 2 right-handed turns. But as it stands now, looks like Javier will indeed try to extend his gap now on Crazy, who had lost 2nd earlier but has managed to catch it back. Red now up to 3rd, and now Ryan seems to have taken the initiative to pit. And that will in fact promote Beccaratis into 4th. So is this an early call for wet tires? Well, we'll see this time. Bowie's pit stop looked a little too fast for me, but maybe he could have gone on to wet tires. We'll have to check back on that. No, Ryan actually isn't stopping, so maybe it was the same case for Bowie, a drive-through penalty, probably for excessive penalties, I must assume, as that's Joe and Husa right there, so he comes out right behind this duo. So both KTMs being hit with some sort of drive-through penalties, at least for Ryan. I'm not really sure what Bowie was hit by, but yeah, this is really turned these two's race up on their head after needing to rebound so much from Austria. It seems like they're mired back even worse than how they started. As now Ryan will look to make a move here on Husa. KTM versus KTM. I don't suspect Husa will put up too much of a fight. He knows Ryan is faster than him. And so indeed Ryan will take 7th place for now, though he definitely needs to try to make his way back into this race. Meanwhile, the gap stays roughly around 3 seconds, though it's going down a little bit. Alex is now the next person to maybe respond to the rain, assuming. Seen a lot of penalties here, actually, so maybe these guys are serving their drive-through penalties relatively early, actually. But yes, this will be an actual pit stop, so I believe Alex is the first to respond to the rain. Meanwhile, Ryan does in fact overtake Joe there, right in the last complex. And Joe is the next to respond to the rain here, so we'll have to see if maybe either if it's too early or too late. It's kind of hard to tell from my perspective, actually. But actually, as I say that, the gap from Crazy to Javier is decreasing, and the gap from Red to Crazy is also decreasing, so these three are definitely close on pace as we kind of enter the pit stop phase. It's Joe still in the pits, so probably some damage repair as well as some tires, as Alex finally now gets out of the pit, so he probably had damage as well. So we'll go on board Red here, see if he can mount any sort of charge here. That's GTS getting out of the way of these two. Ooh, as he tries to get out of the way, not making it very easy for Red, actually. But none of the top three responding to the rain just yet, so they think it's okay. Meanwhile, Bowie is starting to try to catch up to Beccaratis here. So Bowie definitely has the pace over him. However, Beccaratis probably will be able to put up a much better fight. As GTS also in the pits now, probably responding to the rain. You can see just how much time actually is lost by Bowing compared to Beccaratis. Although he gains it back really well in the braking, and now he's right behind Beccaratis. So Bowie, will he try to make a move here into 3? I'm not sure. Excuse me, 4. Now will you look here? He's looking here, and he decides to go for a move there. Indeed, Bowie will make the move on Beccaratis. However, Beccaratis will have the speed to kind of get back at him going into 7. Side by side, Beccaratis and Bowie. It looks like Bowie will in fact get the advantage over him, as now the gap from Javier and Crazy is dropped to less than 2 seconds. As the windshield wipers go on for them. Indeed, it is Red kind of closing in on Crazy as well. Swami is the next to most likely respond to the rain. We're a little wide there. But as the field spreads out, it'll be interesting to see how everyone kind of stacks out. See a lot of penalties, so All these drivers getting hit by the FIA this weekend, apparently. But this has been an interesting race, to say the least. It's interesting in a sense that Javier has some competition this week. We don't really get to say that very often. But yes, he actually has some decent competition here in the form of Crazy and Red. Aston Martin and a Porsche, as now the gap is less than a second, so is Javier struggling under these conditions? This Crazy seems to be the main benefactor of all of this, is that it's allowed Red to also sort of kick in. Javier kind of has the traction over these two, as that's Alex there in the foreground. But Crazy seems to be able to catch up to Javier when it comes to the braking points, which has kind of been surprising a little bit. Ooh, Javier a little loose there off of the high curves. And Red is only right there relative to these two, so Crazy definitely in the best spot. Javier brakes a little early, as that's Red. Ooh, hit the back of Crazy there, and that's Crazy around. So Javier slowed up first, then Crazy slowed up in response, and then Red just didn't slow up in time, so a bit of a chain reaction there. Red does in fact let him go back, but that has allowed Javier to kind of get farther away from these two, so they had it and then they lost it. So what can you do? Yeah, an unfortunate chain reaction situation there, as Slim Sign makes his move on Max Blee there. Surprisingly, the gap is already back to 1 second, so Javier must have made some kind of mistake, because he's dropping time everywhere. Is now Usa's now the next to respond here, so is it possibly time for a change of tires, as Javier had a 3-second gap like a sector ago, and now it's completely vanished. Crazy already on the back of him, so it might be a switchover period, as now Crazy looks all over the back of Javier. He looks a little bit to the inside, thinks better of it. I believe that's Joe Black in front of these three. But yes, Javier very susceptible now, and Crazy looking to make the move. Maybe in the last place he was thinking about it. He is side by side now, but with the rain pelting down ever harder, one can only question how they're going to be able to solve this, as now Crazy does in fact make the move, and that's Javier very, very early on the brakes, so he's just not confident in these conditions. As we'll see, maybe they'll respond right here and now, actually. No. Javier is in fact the first to respond, so has Crazy and Red stayed out a little too long, as now we see the cars kicking up spray. So now comes the question, has Crazy and Red stayed out too long, or has Javier come in too early? Stay on board here. These two need to get around Joe so that they don't waste too much time. They are in a league battle right now, so they need to push as much as they've got here without losing too much time. Beck Rogers is the next to respond to the conditions. It's Javier out and away there. But yes, now comes the question. Has Crazy and Red been able to keep up their pace over Javier, or has Javier outsmarted the two of them, as that's Alex there on the grass there, so they going from bad to worse for him. Yeah, you see a lot of spray being kicked up now, so begs the question, are they struggling that much? Meanwhile, Javier just going through turn 3 right now. Beckerod, Slim Sign, and Maxley are all in for their stop, most likely for wet tires. But will they respond now? It'll be interesting to see. Yes, in fact they do. Crazy and Red decide to pit here and now. Javier's just coming through the Sector 2 right now, so we'll see what happens in the pit stops. This is a battle for the lead, as now Bowie is also in. It seems like the lead will be decided on this pit stop. As Ryan comes back in again, so indeed he did have to serve some kind of penalty the first time around. Javier is only coming to the last sector now. Crazy is indeed out and away. Meanwhile with Red, he's still changing tires. So it's Crazy coming through right now, so Crazy's gained a bundle of time. But has he managed to outfox Javier? He's coming through the last turn right now. The line to the exit is right there, and indeed Crazy will have a sustainable gap over Javier as well as Red. Javier is only coming through right now, although Red's not up to speed. But no, it seems like Crazy and Red have managed to outsmart Javier in the pit stop phase by pitting 1 lap later. Meanwhile, Ryan is in. He's coming out right now. Becratis will not be able to pass him on the pit road, so Ryan now into 5th place. So yeah, definitely very interesting tactics there from Crazy and Red, who pretty much left Javier in the dust with that pit stop phase. Although Javier is only right there, so he can mount another attack there. This race is definitely far from over. But as the field sort of spreads out now, as it stands now, Crazy is your leader with about half the race down. Red is in 2nd, Javier 3rd. These 3 have essentially been the class of the field so far today. Bowie in 4th place. I believe he still has to pit, which is why he's right behind this trio actually. So we'll see if he comes to the pits now. Actually, has Bowie pit already? I don't remember. I want to say he hasn't, but hey, me and my short memory. Oh, we'll see what happens this time by. Okay, Bowie isn't pitting, so I assume he already has me to stop. Meanwhile, it's Ryan in 5th, Becaratis in 6th, Husa in 7th, Joe in 8th, Slim Sign 9th, Adam 10th, with Maxley actually right there. So this is essentially the closest battle, as Alex has disconnected from here, so Maxley looking to get 10th from Adam here. It's the closest battle on track right now, so we'll just see the battle for bragging rights so far. Meanwhile, it's GTS in 12th, Schwami in 13th, and Julia in 14th, and indeed Maxley has gotten the pass done. He is in the top 10. As meanwhile up front, Crazy's lost a lot of time to Red, so I wonder what's happened there. Might have gotten a step wrong there. Red is now all over the back of Crazy. As you can see, the spray being picked up. It's probably not a good sight for the drivers, actually. see really hard braking zone there, but yeah, red just has the overall time actually. So red, who had his early incident here, could potentially go for the lead here at Imola. Crazy goes pretty deep. Red tries to kind of back it up and then try to get the run off. However, will he be able to make the move here into 13 and 14? It'll be pretty ambitious. No, he will keep in line for now, though he cuts back, maybe looking on the inside of 14. No, he won't. Meanwhile, Javier just right behind these two. Although red does have the slipstream, he might look for a move into turn 1. Just get a face full of spray there, but no, he won't. He will keep in line for now. But these three definitely, it's definitely either one's game, as that's Crazy off in the grass a little bit. So there, he's actually gotten a foot wrong, although Crazy, he tried to keep it there. And that's allowed Javier to make a move on the inside of red. Can he also look onto the inside of Crazy as well? No, he won't. So Crazy got a step wrong there. And red thought about it, but he's going to be pushed all the way onto the grass. And so, yeah, I didn't think Bai was actually in this battle, but he is. So, surprise, surprise from there. Bowie's only about 4 seconds off from this group. Meanwhile, Crazy still going defensive from red there. Maybe a little too much, as now red has gotten a pretty good run there. Downhill, Crazy will again take a defensive line. Red will back it up. Maybe try to get to the inside of him, and he just cannot do it. And Javier is right there. So any one of these three can take the spot right now, and Bowie's just hoping that he can kind of get into this when these three keep battling. As red very deep into the chicane there, a little wide. Now into 13 and 14. Definitely you can see who's the latest of the breakers there. Although Crazy's been taking some defensive lines there, he doesn't want to let red get any chance of the inside of him. But red does have a substantial amount of speed. They'll be coming up on some lap traffic momentarily, so how will this play into the battle? It's Crazy goes very deep as well as red. Oh, and red looking to the inside. He will in fact make it stick, as that's red going a little bit loose, and that's Javier, a little bit of a tap to Crazy. But now they're side by side heading into 4 and 5, and red does manage to stick it from the inside. He will hold it off there, but Javier looking to make a move now on Crazy, who's susceptible here. Down the inside, Aston Martin v Aston Martin, as that's Adam, who's, well, these guys are probably going to have to go 3 wide unless Crazy's going to cut him off there, but red does indeed make the pass on Crazy now. So Javier looking to a susceptible Crazy. And meanwhile, Bowie just trying to carve his way back up to these guys, as the gap between Bowie and the top 3 is only about 2.5 seconds, so these guys fighting have definitely allowed Bowie to kind of catch up and kind of make him a contender in all this as well. But this is Crazy. Doesn't get a good run off of the high chicanes as he thought he would, as now Javier will try to make the move going into 13 and 14, maybe on the inside. However, you got the Mustang. There is, oh, calamities. There is the Mustang of, I believe that was Max Blee. Yeah, it was Max Blee, who's cut back inside, and that has forced Crazy into the wall. And I believe Javier has also made some contact with Max Blee. As, ooh, that was a terrible situation. Crazy absolutely assassinated by Maxpley coming down into 13 and 14. And Crazy with a lot of damage. How unfortunate to have one of his best qualifying and race performances all to have it taken away by a lap car. But now it has become a two-car battle with Red and Javier. Well, I say two-car, but now three cars. Three manufacturers, Porsche, Aston Martin, and KTM, all fighting for the top supremacy here. But Crazy's got to be fuming at Maxpley for kind of cutting back inwards, and Crazy had nowhere to go. He slammed right into the back of him. Unfortunate there, and Bekarachis will now be promoted up into 5th place. It's likely Huso will also go up into 6th place now. But now Bowie looking to be the strongest link out of these three. He's set a faster time than Javier and Red at the moment. It's Joe and Slimsign coming across the last turn now. Crazy still in the pits for his damage, and that will promote Joe and Slimsign into 7th and 8th. Crazy will go down to 9th place at least. Meanwhile, back up front is Bowie mounting a charge on Javier, as Red has more or less sustained a 1 second gap from Javier. Crazy still in the pits for his damage. Actually, he just leaves now, so he will fall a lap down to the leaders. We go to less than 10 laps to go. The outlook of this race has completely shifted. What was 2 Aston Martins and a Porsche has now become a Porsche and Aston Martin as a KTM, as both Red and Javier run extremely wide. That's allowed Bowie to close in extremely. However, Bowie can't really make a move on the straight. That's the power difference between them. So we'll have to try to find a way to get past these two when they're most vulnerable. Javier sliding throughout these turns. Meanwhile, Red is only right there, so Javier's managed to cut the gap down. That was a second, so I keep thinking that one of these guys is going to break away, but it truly seems like no one here has the outright pace over one another. Kind of just seems like one driver makes a mistake and then the others catch up. A very interesting dynamic being played by everyone here. Let's just see. Ooh, that's Red very far off into luckily paved road. However, he'll probably get a track extending penalty, as that's Javier down up the inside. He will look to get the move done, and meanwhile that's Bowie looking on the inside of Red as well, as they both get around Red relatively flawlessly. Javier now your leader, Bowie in second. So one mistake from Red cost him, and now he's back down to third. He's got to have his mind set on Javier, though. That's who he's battling in the championship, much to Red's displeasure to see Bowie in front of him, actually. But Red will most likely get the slipstream here off Bowie, and Javier will also probably put a gap on him, so it's still any of these three's game. Heading now into lap 20. This time they all make it through turn 1 relatively safely. Ryan kind of in a world of his own, along with Bekarachis and Husa. In fact, there was a close battle here between Slimsign and Joe. It seems like these two are kind of sticking close toward each other. Meanwhile, Bowie kind of closing in through technical section of Sector 2 actually, so you might be able to make some sort of move if he can get all the way to 13 and 14 with a little bit of a gap there. Xavier goes a little bit wide on the curb, gonna mess up his entry there into 10. And Red, I believe, has made another mistake behind them, just compounding the mistakes together. But Bowie just rides on top of the high curbs there, 11 and 12, but he is a little bit closer, although I don't think he'll be able to make a move here. Javier's got to make some sort of mistake. I believe that's what's going to be the deciding factor right now, is if he can make a mistake. As you see, there's actually a small puddle forming there in the last turn, so it actually slipped up Bowie a little bit. I wonder if that's going to come back to bite anyone. But as it stands now, Javier looks to be the one who might be able to get away from this group that he's in, considering that Bowie can't really do anything with this straight line deficit. Even though Bowie can kind of catch up, there isn't really any place to make a move here unless you've got the speed. That's kind of just the nature of Imola. But he's got roughly 6 laps to do something, so he's managed to shake Red. Oh, as I looked away for a second, and Javier has managed to spin it there off of turn 6. And just like that, Javier is down into 3rd place, so it seems to happen to even the best of them. Javier just putting on the power a little too early, and now Bowie is the leader. Red has now propelled himself up into 2nd, and his championship rival Javier is now behind him, so I looked down for just a second actually, and Javier's already nearly looped it, as he slides again into 9 and 10. So Javier, the one making the mistakes now out of this group. Still, any of their battle is clearly demonstrated. All 3 of them have held the lead at some point, but it's going to be who leads it at the end of the 28th lap. Bowie very wide off the last turn actually, but right now all Red's got to do is kind of keep a consistent pace, considering he knows he's faster, at least on the straight, so if he can get there, he can definitely mount some sort of charge there. But the problem is, Bowie's not just going to let Red have this by any means necessary. So Red's got to try something a little bit daring here if he wants to get this move done. But meanwhile, now Javier's the one falling off the pace of these two, so it's kind of like a yo-yo effect through all 3 of these guys. Neither one of them can really get away from each other, and as soon as one slips, another one kind of steps in to take their place. As I just now noticed, actually, Crazy is officially out of this race, so I don't blame him for what happened, but it's an unfortunate circumstance. Meanwhile, Red closing the gap here on Bowie. He is the closest he's been so far, with only so few laps to go. If Red can kind of get in front now, is kind of has to brake really heavily for Bowie there, who kind of braked early himself. I was going to say, if Red can get the lead now, he stands a better chance of actually holding it, considering Javier would also then need to get around Bowie. And with only so few laps to go, now is a time where you have to start thinking about where to make the proper moves. Because we've seen mistakes from all 3 of these guys, as Red looks to the outside, thinks better, but he's not going to make anything happen here. Although Javier going to be the last of the late breakers, as Bowie kind of goes a little bit of a defensive line there, as you see a really huge puddle there off the last turn. Actually, I almost forgot. Bowie still has his 6-second penalty, and I just now noticed that Javier has a 10-second penalty. So, actually, Red theoretically doesn't have to do anything. As I say that, I should probably be getting back onto the timing self. There. God, that took a while, but I was just about to say Red made the move on Bowie, but then Bowie comes back around the outside, and Javier thought about a move on Red as, ooh, he goes very loose as Javier slips and slides. It's just a rush of emotions now, but I was trying to say that Red is actually the main beneficiary, because if he can just stick in this group, then he's automatically the winner. Bowie needs to find 6 seconds somehow, but he can't escape, and Javier needs to find 10 seconds somehow. So now that we look at it, it's actually more of a damage limitation. All Red has to do is not crash the car, which is easier said than done for his reputation so far. But obviously, being a racer, you don't want to win on a technicality like that. You want to be the overall winner. So even though Red probably can see the same penalties that we can see, he's definitely going to try and give Bowie a run for his money there. But as I was going to say before I had to cut back, Ryan has a 5-second penalty, Slim Sign has 10 seconds penalty, Adam 10 seconds, Max Blue 2 seconds. So very penalty heavy race actually, probably for, like I said, track extending kind of penalties. But like I said, I don't think Red's just going to win on a technicality like this unless it's the absolute last thing he wants. He's going to try and put up a fight for Bowie, although he does need to maintain about 6 seconds on him, which is relatively simple considering their pace. But Red does have the overspeed there. He will look to a move around the outside of Red, coming down into turn 1. But no, it will be Bowie who sticks in front of Red. Meanwhile, that's allowing Javier to kind of catch up after his small incident there. As it stands now, this is the only and closest battle on track. Everyone else is more or less kind of set in their representative place. So it's really only a decision between which one of these three is going to be the winner. And well, I mean, we know right now it's Red in terms of a timing perspective, but he's probably still got to try to keep Bowie honest, should anything happen. Meanwhile, Red, very heavy braking, almost into the back of Bowie going into that section as he's just hurrying and hustling him. Going into 13 and 14, it looks like he will indeed try to make the move there around the outside of 13 and 14, and then, oh, there's contact! There's heavy contact as that's Red sliding through 13 and 14 into the gravel, and that's Javier also off. I said that's probably not what he needs to do, but all three of them off. And Bowie off again off of the edge of 14, so Red not making his life any better there. As now Red has found himself back down 5 seconds, just around the time needed for Bowie to actually escape. I think Red, I think that was just a racing incident. Bowie and Red were kind of just coming back mutually onto the racing line, and they kind of made contact there. But as it stands, Red would still technically be the winner on a timing perspective, as that's Javier around and in the wall hard. Javier has spun it off of turn 3, and he does have some frontal damage there. So all three of the top runners just having a torrid time with each other. Imagine the relationship isn't going to get any better when this race is over. But as it stands now, Red needs to try to catch a little bit back up. He's in the danger zone, admittedly. But yeah, Javier, a little bit of front end damage after. I think it's actually the first time we've seen him legitimately spin this season, so first time for everything, I guess. But now Red closing back down in on Bowie. Ooh, Red very slow off that turn. It's gonna allow Bowie to kind of gap him a little bit. Although he's still 2 seconds out from any sort of major chance. It's GTS right in front of Bowie. So get out of the way, hopefully. We've had a few lap incidents, so hopefully GTS is aware of this one. But as it stands now, Red is in fact in the danger zone when it comes to winning this race. He needs to keep the gap under 6 seconds, because that's the time penalty that Bowie has. Meanwhile, Javier decides not to pit, so he's just going to soldier on. It's probably for the better, actually, considering if he did pit, he would be susceptible to Ryan, although Ryan himself also has a penalty. Now it's Ryan who has to get past the lap car of GTS, try to minimize as much time as possible, as it's now 3 laps to go here at Imola. It'll be bittersweet. We know that much, considering Bowie will be the first to cross the line, but not first to hold the podium. That is assuming Red doesn't have another incident which drops him under 6 seconds. But actually, you can see the rain lightening up. Sort of the spray is disappearing from these cars, but we don't suspect anyone will be coming in for dry tires soon, or anytime soon, actually. Red a little slippery down into 9 and 10. I believe there's also a puddle there as well, so that's not going to help there. As it stands now, the gap is roughly 4 seconds from Bowie to Red. So, Red essentially kind of put himself in this situation. I hate to admit it, but he did. He didn't have to, but he did. So, hey-ho, what are you gonna do? Meanwhile, Javier, after his spin and crash, will not be able to catch up to Red and Bowie. Looks like the drained all the speed from that Aston Martin right now, so it's just between Bowie and Red right now. It'd be quite the story for Bowie to run out of fuel on the last lap at Austria to win it here at Imola, but he's got to put in the work now if he really wants that win. Oh, I just don't think he has the speed to kind of get away. He had a chance, but Red just not gonna be the one to give it up. Red needs every championship point he can get if he wants to stay in the fight with Javier. But seems like luck will shine his way, most likely, if he can keep it together for the next 2 laps. Easier said than done, of course, considering that pretty much everyone has had their own separate incident today. I believe that's indeed Joe Black, so we don't suspect that this Mustang will be in the wars today. But every lap traffic is still still a looming kind of anxiety attack. Take it from a driver himself. Every lap car is an anxiety attack waiting to happen. But now as Bowie starts the final lap, it's looking like it would be him for the win, but it's not considering his penalty. So all Red's got to do is maintain the gap, and he will in fact win here at Imola. And considering the time penalty that Javier has, it will most likely end Red, Bowie, and then Javier will be the proper podium positions here. But what an interesting race, to say the least. For once, that's Bowie who's off in the grass, so I think he's pretty much already kind of sealed his fate there for not being able to get away from Red. Although it'll be interesting to see if Red will try to make a move despite his situation. I don't know if the last situation scared him enough, so maybe he needs another reminder. So I was gonna say, it's been a very interesting race to see so many different kinds of drivers that actually have a shot at winning today. Pretty much, we had a bunch of different drivers who were set to look like they could win, from Bowie to Red to Javier to Ryan and to Crazy, some of which faring better than others. But saying all the sentimental stuff, this battle still technically isn't over. Red will most likely try to go for the bragging rights, even though he doesn't really need to. But we'll see what happens. Bowie and Red coming now through left-right, or the right-left of 11 and 12 here. So now come down into the final double lefts of 13 and 14. This is Red's race to lose on a technicality, really. And indeed, it looks like coming across 13 and 14 now will in fact be Red, who will in fact take advantage of Bowie's penalty and will come across the line here. Red will be your Imola winner. Bowie will in fact finish second place due to his penalty, and Javier will finish third after his instance today and a 10-second time penalty. Meanwhile, you gotta look very far back to find fourth place, which is this man Ryan, who, like Bowie, is just glad that he's actually able to finish the race in a decent position this time around. So Bowie will come across the line to be the best of the rest. It'll be KTM in fourth place. Beckeratis just kind of doing his thing here, having another solid top 5 day performance from him. Usa kind of an average day, but I think he'll accept it considering the circumstances. Slim Sign a decent day actually, although he's shown that he can get up into the points a little bit more often. In fact, he did actually score a podium at Austria, so it's more or less a back to basics kind of day for him. And oh, that's Joe Black off in the gravel there, up in turn 1, that is. So he's, well, actually I believe he's already finished, and so yeah, there's no way that Adam can pass him there. So Adam will in fact finish 9th after his first lap incidents there. Max Blee, I mean, what can you say about that? Well, we'll leave that to the stewards to decide that. It looks like he will finish 10th. GTS to finish 11th. Schwami, who's taking his sweet time there, in 12th. And Julian in 13th to round off the final grid positions here at Imola. And there you have it, the final results. It is in fact Red, Bowie, and Javier. As you can see, all the time penalties there across the board. And then Ryan Bikarat, Husa, Slimsign Joe, Adam, Maxpley, GTS Swami, Julian, and Crazy, who was unfortunately out of the race by that time. And also Alex, who is 15th place, but he is also out of the race as well. But overall, a very entertaining race from my perspective, and I hope everyone out there enjoyed it as well. This has been Cypher Knight 77 and Gavra Racing's GT4 series. We hope to see you all next time, where actually I don't even know where we're going next time, but hey ho, it'll be an enjoyable race hopefully. So we hope to see you then. Have a good day, and have a good night.